Have you ever heard someone ask the question, why is that Transformer female? Or why are there female Transformers if they don't reproduce? If you're wondering this yourself, I'm here to explain in a clear and to-the-point manner why gender belongs in Transformers, as well as what is the best way to write it. So we are talking about shows and comics where the alien robots do not have babies. Nowadays, the explanation of where new Transformers come from usually includes a godlike robot creator, so their metal bodies are created and souls are given to them, called sparks. So they don't have reproductive organs no matter what you see in fanfictions. That stuff is made up by the fans. Now you notice in the IDW comics or shows too that the robots use he with each other as they speak English. But when a robot uses she, that is when the readers and viewers find it weird. However, why is it weird when the robots use she and not he? Here is where the argument falls apart. People consider only female as a gender, not male. But he is just as gendered of a word as she, so you cannot say that adding a character like RC ruins the Transformers' lack of gender. The addition hasn't changed anything, and the Transformers are just as genderless and genderful as they were before RC. He was considered the normal default, but she is the exception. This is a cultural concept and a sexist way of thinking, because male is certainly not the default in our world when half of all humans are female or something else. English has the genderless pronoun they, and there are options such as neopronouns that would make a lot of sense for an asexual alien culture to use, but Transformers as a franchise has never touched them. If one pronoun was shared across the species, it would be very easy to then have the robot characters look and sound however you want them with no Earth gender restraints. But as long as we are using he most of the time, we have a problem. A Transformers universe might excuse itself and claim this. Most of the robots, by chance, just happen to be masculine. But this is really a poor and lazy excuse for we will not write female characters when we could. And Transformers Prime is 100% guilty of this one. It claims in its lore, for every 12 he robots, there is one she. And it's really a cover-up for its own writing. So we need more female robots, because we have to erase the belief that they are more gendered and obscure to show than the male robots. We have to consider the female audience, which is way larger than some people might claim. To the female readers and watchers, it is like being told indirectly that there can't be robots that look and sound like you because you are not normal. This is the standard, but you are not. Now I understand not putting clear round boobs on robots because it doesn't make sense why the aliens gendered female would all have parts that look exactly like primate mammary organs. But you don't have to try hard to show to the audience that the robot is female with the stereotypical eyelashes and lipstick, abdomen lines, and circular boobs. They don't need crazy treatment because they aren't a crazy concept. A robot that uses she. A better way to create a feminine robot body shape is to design the metal in a certain way, like RC and Transformers Prime, because then it just happens by chance that the robot looks more feminine. Sometimes designs have the issue where all they do is make a metal human woman and hide the kibble on the back so they can have a sexy figure, but the male characters have all the kibble spread out around their body. No, don't erase feminine design because that sends the message that this body shape is bad and not normal to use. Incorporate your kibble and weapons into the design because otherwise you get something like Thunderblast here. A robot with boobs and nipples with 2 black plates that snap around her and boom, transformed. No, that's like a Kinder Egg. Use the body for a real transformation. Here is how to design the robots. Show feminine body types, but not on every female robot. Show that it is okay to be curvy slim or curvy thick, but also show that you don't have to limit female characters to one body type. Do not restrict body types to gender and allow your female characters to have the old rectangular style bodies. Allow your male characters to be curvy, busty, have thick thighs, or plush lipstick lips. Because trust me, the fans find it attractive anyway. Because if you're going to put lipstick and eyelashes on robots, don't do it to only the female characters as a way to show femininity. That's the Pixar animal treatment, and it's not good to make a huge deal out of female design because it worsens the belief that the female characters have to be exceptional. We have to mark them as different than the male ones. No, equality. Makeup for everyone, hips for everyone. All you are doing is limiting your design freedom. Put whatever traits you want on your bots and show off different body types. In the end, your characters will differentiate themselves from each other much better. So what is the best way to write gender? What makes the most sense in an alien culture with aliens that don't reproduce biologically? The best way is to include gender, but not make it a discussion. IDW 2 is the best I have seen so far in Transformers history for gender. It seems to have a 50-50 cast, which has never been seen before in Transformers. They used female characters from the past, but wrote the story to include them as main characters, instead of just picking the same popular male characters of the past. No one talks about why they use he or she, and that was something IDW did not do right. IDW included female robots only later and made gender about how the robot identified after interacting with alien species. This is very close to what we need, except it has one flaw. It assumes masculinity and femininity is universal across all alien organic species. How do we know aliens have male and female? What if their male and female look different? The only way gender works in Transformers is if they don't know what gender is on their planet before meeting other species, and then each Transformer chooses what they would use as pronouns with each alien they deal with. When they speak their own language, they should be using genderless pronouns, but when we hear them speak English, then they have made a choice about what they identify with. IDW2 robots don't have to talk about gender, because maybe when we read he or she, this is simply the translation of what they would have said if they were speaking English on Cybertron. The only way IDW can improve is if they use additional pronouns beyond he or she, because we want to show what each robot character would have chosen. What if that robot feels that they could identify with more than one gender, or neither? There have been no robots using they yet, when there really should be. So to recap, your audience is human and includes women. Be fair, and show characters with their voices and body types. If you are using he, there is no reason to not use she, because both are gendered words. Male is not a standard default, and neither is the rectangular body shape. Create a variety of design, and do not restrict traits and body shapes to those he and she robots. Assume the robots adapt to gender with any species they interact with, and you are given an English translation of what the robots would have chosen if they knew anything about Earth. Don't be lazy and inconsiderate by writing out female characters or giving them side roles. It's not hard to include them. Write them like the other male robots and focus on the war stuff and the effect of that on them, or the role those female characters play in the fight. You know, like, make them emotional, flawed characters. Your female characters don't all have to be perfect badasses, because they are way more likable and realistic when they struggle and develop. And it sucks I have to say this, but I really do have to say this, when Transformers started off sexist and struggles to change because its reboots are slow to get with the times. They are certainly better now, but some fan minds are lagging behind, and plenty of people are going to get mad at me and comment down below without finishing the video. Take any of those remarks or the wiki page on Simon Furman as proof as why this discussion was important.